Welcome to the Advancing Entrepreneur. This show is all about surrounding yourself for success. Hear stories of building traction, gaining acceleration, and creating results from successful entrepreneurs who have surrounded themselves with other successful entrepreneurs. And now, here's your host, Annette Nightingale James.
Hello, Advancing Entrepreneurs. Annette Nightingale James back here for another episode of the Advancing Entrepreneur Show, where we help you get traction, acceleration, and results in your business. This morning, I am joined by my friend and fellow podcaster, Ryan Turner. Good morning, Ryan.
Good morning.
Good morning. Ryan, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you a little bit, but then I want to turn it back over to you to expand, okay?
All right.
All right. After quitting his job to create his own Volkswagen repair shop from scratch with little cash and no professional training, Ryan has set out to expand his ability to help VW owners through acquiring VWDiesel.net. There he is working to build an already established community through an informative how-to articles, a podcast, and business involvement. Ryan, tell us a little bit more. What led you to the business and what's going good for you?
I started into Volkswagens by buying one, and I think that was where my biggest mistake started. Because ever since then, I've been hooked. I have about 50 right now, including a shop, including a VW t-shirt website, and now VW Diesel also. So it has quite expanded and spiraled out of control for me.
Very good, very good. Well, Ryan, we all know that business can be a little bit challenging from time to time. So when you kind of hit a hurdle, what motivates you to keep you going? What drives you each and every day in your business?
I am stubborn. I am very stubborn, and that drives me. Curiosity and being stubborn drives me. I have to know about things that I don't know about, and I obsess about them, and I read about them, and I go over them, and I run into problems all the time. And this will go back into my quote when we get to this later, but I fail all the time at this business, and there's nothing wrong with failing because you have to try different avenues. When you're working on a car, when you are working on a website, when you are trying to build something from scratch, you'll hit dead ends all the time. I have a car here right now that I've had in the shop for 2 months, okay? It is 30 years old. It has sat forever, and occasionally it randomly has caught fire on me. It caught fire on me the other day. The alternator just decided to go up and smoke. So you rip it all out and you start over again. And so that being stubborn and that curiosity also helps me to be an entrepreneur. It helps me want to help others any way I can. And while I've had several jobs and been a good employee, I'm not employee material most of the time. I am very entrepreneurial, and I have been all my life. I started selling cookies at flea markets when I was 6, 7 years old, and it hasn't stopped.
So very cool, very cool. So it's true. It's so true. Stubborn is a good quality in an entrepreneur, as long as you can take feedback too. We'll get to that later.
Right. My wife is also stubborn, and we work together very well.
That could go either way, really. So I wasn't sure where we were going.
No, we're complementary stubborn, if there's such a thing. It works out great.
That's important. So, Ryan, tell us a little bit about what led you into the business that you're in now.
Okay. I was an electronics technician for the government. I had the job for about 10, 12 years, and we bought a house out in the country with a big shop, specifically because I had this dream that I wanted to start my own shop, and I wanted to work for myself, but I haven't had any formal training at it. I had worked on cars on my own, but I had this dream that I wanted to start Crowdhouse Motorsports, which is the name of my shop. So I started obsessing about it like I do. I started reading and studying. I read repair manuals. I asked people how they did it. I have friends that have repair shops, and I even went and worked with one of them for a while so that I kind of took the edge off, so that I got in the corridor. I started learning how it worked, because I didn't know, how they got their repair procedures, how they got parts, how they did this, how they dealt with customers. And so I started getting my feet wet slowly by it. And I took the plunge about 3 years ago after my son was born. He's 2 going on 3 now, and I quit my job. It was a good job by all aspects. I should have stayed there, for the rest of my life. I was making Right, right. I mean, with no college education, I was making $22, $23 an hour. That's pretty good money for people without a college degree. But I wasn't satisfied. So I started my shop, and it turned out not to be exactly what I wanted, and I started working on other stuff. I started a VW t-shirt business. The shirt I'm wearing now, this yellow one behind my sweatshirt, is a shirt that I designed that I sell on the internet. And I talked to the person who started the website vwdiesel.net that I now own about advertising on there to try to get more business for the site, and that led to me ended up acquiring it to build it, to take care of it, because he has a shop himself. He has a second job on top of that working towers. So he was very busy, and I was able to acquire that to try to change directions from what I was doing, still with the love of Volkswagen, still with liking working on cars, but to be able to help more people than just one person, one car at a time.
So very cool. And I like that story too, because it shows that sometimes you get started and then something new comes up and then something new comes up. So that's a pretty normal story, I would say, for an entrepreneur, but not normal for the average person. So a regular person hearing that might be like, "Oh, there's something wrong." That's why I was like, it should, right? Because being an entrepreneur does not necessarily conform with kind of what the average person, I have a coach that calls them civilians, people who aren't business owners, what civilians think it should be.
And it's a very scary life sometime being an entrepreneur. I hadn't made any money this week until yesterday, and that was Thursday. So sometimes you go not making any money, and sometimes it just falls in your lap. And people that are used to a full-time job with secure income, it can be very hard. And it's still very hard sometimes to live with that uncertainty.
Yep, absolutely. So tell me, was there a specific time in your business when you knew that it was time to surround yourself with other entrepreneurs? Did you plug into a group or start attending live events?
Right. And the time that I started that was when I first started having the idea to start a shop. I had a really good friend of mine that had a Volkswagen repair shop about an hour and a half from me, another friend who has a parts store, an independent parts store, two other friends that have repair shops that they built up themselves. So I started asking them, how do you do this? When you run into this, what do you do? How does this happen? How does this work? And I annoyed the ever-loving tar out of them until I got all the answers that I wanted. And I ended up working for a friend of mine for a period of 6 months or so, part-time. I would work 2-3 days a week at my job. I would go drive an hour and a half each day one way to work for him 2 or 3 days a week, so that I learned how to do this before I just jumped out on my own. And I think that's the part where a lot of entrepreneurs get in trouble. You don't get into the corridor. You don't learn these things before you jump in head over heels. And I jumped in head over heels, and there's a lot of stuff that I wasn't prepared for. I have gotten my butt kicked time and time again by cars, and you have to go in, watch a little TV, snuggle up to your wife, and start a new day, because if you don't, you lose. And I'm not about losing.
Yep. I really like this. You know what, my favorite way, and my audience knows this by now because I talk about it incessantly. I'm infatuated with masterminds. But masterminding is not the only way to surround yourself. And I love that you went and this other thing I went about an hour and a half each way. Do you know how many people that would have stopped right there, that one piece of information? So I love your no excuses approach. But we know Tony Robbins is famous for a lot of things, but one of his famous quotes is success leaves clues. So if you can find somebody else doing what you want to do, you can model what they're doing and submerging yourself in that environment so that you can learn it, I think is a really smart thing to do. If you have a business idea you want to start entrepreneurs, go find somebody else doing it and offer to intern for them. Most people who are building their business and are successful at it, they want to be helpful to other people. They're not, closed down to that. So I love that you surrounded yourself in that way.
Yeah. And on this note of, say, a internship or an apprenticeship, don't be afraid to not make full-time money or real money, if you want to call it that. It's easier and far cheaper to work part-time for 6 months and find out that you don't want to do this than to sink $30,000 or $40,000 into something in 2 or 3 years of your life because you decided that you told everybody that you were going to do this, and so you're going to do this and you're going to make it work. it kind of goes along with dating and a marriage. Okay. I'm on my second marriage. My first one was horrible. I didn't put in the time. I didn't do all the research. I didn't, make sure that we were a compatible fit. And that goes with business. You have to make sure that your idea is a compatible fit with you, that it complements your life, that it complements the way that you work. If you're a night owl and you deliver newspapers at 3 a.m., may not work out very well. Well, it might if you stay up that late. But you have to find the business that complements yourself and be willing to take a short-term loss to build that long-term success.
Yes, I love that. I love that. I'm glad you shared that with us. So from your time, going and immersing yourself in the business, or maybe anything else, any other way that you surround yourself with entrepreneurs, was there a specific kind of light bulb moment, an aha time when you're like, oh, that's it, or you got an idea that you needed? Can you share a story like that with our audience?
I've had good light bulbs and I've had bad light bulbs. And I know that a lot of times we focus on the good light bulbs, but I'm going to focus on a bad light bulb here. And I'm changing my mind because this has come to me. I love working on cars. I love building projects. That is why I wanted to start my own repair shop, because I thought, man, we will build the coolest race cars and the coolest project cars, and we'll do this and do that and the other. And I got bogged down in brake repair and suspension repair and finding electrical problems and this, that, and the other. And it got to be a real drudgery. I hated it. I hated my shop is 40 feet from my house. So it takes a lot for me not to be able to go to work every day. But I got burnout. The guy that was working with me, I just started piling stuff onto him. He can do it. He can do it. He can do it. I don't want to do it. He can do it. And it burnt him out. And the light bulb came to where I started to pivot, is that I like helping people. I like building cool cars. I like sharing what cool stuff I do with people. I don't like doing this monotonous stuff. I don't like doing this day in and day out. I don't like changing brakes every day. I don't like pulling engines every day. So I had to start looking for a way to change my business into what I wanted to do with my life, into what I really got excited about. Because when I start working on a cool project, I tell everybody, my friends are annoyed about it. Facebook is annoyed about it. My groups are annoyed about it because like, whoa, I'm doing this, and yeah, I'm doing this, and oh, this broke, and oh, I caught this on fire, oops. And it may sound bad for a mechanic to say he cuts your stuff on fire, but it happens. It just does. Maybe not as often, and it doesn't happen that often, but it does. And sometimes it's fun to talk about it. But the light bulb moment is that sometimes the business that you get into and start isn't really the business that you want to be in. And so you have to start looking at it and turning it into what you want it to be.
I like it. I think it's important, because I think it's easy for us to get on, these shows or on the phone or, in a networking group or anything and be like, oh yeah, everything is going good. Look at all the good stuff that's going on. And we don't sometimes talk enough about the bad stuff or the kind of the downturns, that we learn a lot of really valuable lessons from. And then other people watching us might feel discouraged, or they might feel like that person's so lucky, but it's not any of that. It's a matter of pushing through and working really hard. So I'm glad that you shared that particular story with us. So, right. But tell us go ahead. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say, if we only talk about the good things, we never really learn anything, because when everything goes right, you're like, all right, you're not paying attention. When stuff goes wrong, you have to stop and think, okay, how did I screw this up? What went wrong? How do I fix this? How do I make sure this doesn't happen again? And a lot of times it's in the bad times, and when we talk about the bad things that happen to us in business, that other people learn the most, and that we learn the most, because we're verbalizing them, we're getting them out into the open, and we can think, oh wow, yeah, I can do that again, and I can do it better.
Right, exactly. And that's the perfect reason to plug into a mastermind group or accountability group or something, is because you can say, guys, this is going wrong in my business. And you will be shocked to see everybody in that group go, oh yeah, that's happened before to me. And you're like, oh, okay. And then they can guide you, and you can get out of it, or you can get through it faster because you've surrounded yourself with people. So good point. Well, Ryan, share with us a little bit more about what it is that you're working on now. Where have all your aha moments and your getting yourself up led you to?
Well, right now I'm working on building a website. It is vwdiesel.net. It is a online community. There's almost 7,000 members right now, and it is specifically focused on the diesel Volkswagen cars, the TDIs, the IDIs that Volkswagen has had for the last 30 years. It's a real solid group of individuals. There are a lot of people on there that really just like helping people, that like trying new things. And the person that created the site got really busy and wasn't able to take care of it. And I had started a VW t-shirt website. I used to do t-shirts back in school and stuff. So I got into that, and I asked him about advertising on the site because occasionally the site would go down and people wouldn't be able to access the site because the bill would not get paid, or it would have technical difficulties. So I started talking to him, and I was like, well, if I, pay you this much, can I advertise on the site to keep it up? Or you can host the site on my servers that I already pay for, and in turn for advertising it, or, maybe I can just buy it off you and take care of it. And after about 2 months, that's what it led into. I was able to acquire it off of him, and I've been working to build that up. I've added a blog. I've been updating the forum, and that's another thing about failure. Not every change that I've made to the site has been a hit. Some people hate some of the things I've done. Some people have griped about it. Some people like it. And you don't know these things until you try them. I've only managed to run away a couple people, which I think might be okay out of almost 7,000. I hate that it happened. I mean, some of them are guys that I've known for a while and have been on the forum for years, and some of them are just people that haven't been on there that long. So, it's not as big of a hurt. But every time you change something, it's going to happen. There are a few moderators that have been on the forum for years that are doing a great job, and they're helping me out in it too. And I lost my train of thought, so let's just pick that one back up off the side of the road. But I'm working to build a blog to try to partner with different businesses in the industry, because I want to make being a part of VW Diesel actually mean something. There are a lot of other forums out there for Volkswagen. I mean, it's it's going to be the number 3 or 4 brand in the world here before too long. And there's a lot of sites out there, but I want to be able to build a community that, signing up to be a member of VW Diesel gets them things. It means something. They have a stake in it. And it's going to take some time. I'm working on a podcast now to talk to different entrepreneurs in the Volkswagen industry, because there are people that have Volkswagens, and then there are Volkswagen people. And Volkswagen people end up being entrepreneurs a lot of time, because you have to be resourceful to keep your cars running occasionally, because once you get one, they usually multiply like rabbits, which is why I have 50 now. I don't know. They just showed up overnight. But there are quite a lot of Volkswagen people that are entrepreneurs, and lots of people like myself have started with cars and built their own shops. So I want to try to share those stories with my community, because, I mean, there are some guys that have started garage shops that have built up to become huge brands in the industry. And I think that a lot of my people would like to hear that.
So very cool. Very cool. I love that. I love that. Well, Ryan, if you send over the link to your community, the link to your t-shirt business and all that stuff, we're going to go ahead and put it on your show notes page. So audience, go to iamadvancing.com, hit up Ryan in the search bar. His show notes page is going to pop up, and you can check out what he's got going on for the VW lovers of the world, and also some really cool t-shirts while you're at it. So very cool. Well, Ryan, I want to give our audience a chance to get to know you a little bit better. So I want to go a little bit through a speed round that I call playing favorites. All right. Ryan, share with us, what is your favorite charity?
I chose the Shriners. The Shriners have directly influenced me the most of my life. When I was a 10-and-a-half-month-old baby, I was burned on my feet, 3rd degree, and I've had 7 reconstructive surgeries on my feet. I've had a tendon transplant. I've had joint removals. I've had stitches and pins and pokes and all that. I mean, just stuff out the wazoo. And the Shriners, paid for everything. It's a great organization. Not only that, but they have funny hats and little bitty cars, which is always nice. But I've spent at least 3 Christmases in the hospital at Shriners Burn Institute in Cincinnati and in Galveston when I was a little kid. And Christmas time at Shriners Hospital is, I mean, nobody wants to be in the hospital over Christmas, especially for being burned, but it's a great place to be. It's vibrant, it's alive. The kids get great stuff for Christmas. I mean, stuff that they probably wouldn't even get at, at their own house. The staff there, I mean, everybody that I ever was with, down to the cleaning staff, was just a great, great person to be around. And I think a lot of times we focus on helping, children in foreign countries, which is great, or helping out this cause, or I know breast cancer is the huge cause right now for most people. But Shriners has been, I'm 30 years old. I will be 31 next month. Shriners has helped me for 30 years, through their efforts. And I wouldn't be able to walk if it wasn't for that. I've had, several surgeries to be able to walk from them, and it hasn't cost me anything. And Shriners, go Shriners.
So very cool. Yeah, I think it's almost one of the underplayed charities in America. I have my sister was a recipient of Shriners as well, and it's very cool. But I actually like what you said about, there's all these different charities, and it used to bother me for a while that I had people, there's like huge charities with causes that I think are secondary to other things that need to be taken care of. And then I realized that is just a function of divine intervention, that everybody cares about something a little bit different, so that everything gets taken care of. So the cats get taken, the dogs and the foreign children and then domestic children. So I love that there are all these different charities, which is why I love to showcase different charities on the show. So,
and it's not a particularly sexy charity for people. It's not in vogue right now. They've been around forever, and people forget about them a lot.
So I love it. Okay, cool. Ryan, what's your favorite quote?
My favorite quote is fail hard, fail fast, fail often, and fail forward. If you're doing something new, if you're doing something the first time, you're going to fail. So keep knocking through those failures, keep learning from them, and you'll eventually hit success.
Yep. Fail forward fast. I like it. So what is your favorite discovery? Do you have an app or a resource that you use in your business?
One that I've liked lately is Focus at Will. I've got a little bit of ADD. I wish I had a little bit of ADHD instead. Might shed a few more pounds that way. But I like Focus at Will because I can keep it going in the background and actually get work done while I'm sitting at a computer. And I really like the Quick Sprout blog with Neil Patel. There are tons and tons of resources and articles, in depth, basically mini books on there about content marketing, about building communities, about increasing blog posts. It takes you forever to get through this stuff, but it's a lot of stuff that I've been using to try to build up my community.
So cool. Very cool. Tell us, what is your favorite song?
I don't know what my favorite song is, but the song that I like to crank up to really get going is Radar Love by Golden Earring. I listened to it before this, and it only works when you get, it only works if you move it. And I'm going to step back a bit, but you got to get the fake drums in there, and you got to sing along with it. And it only works that way. You can't sit still to it. You got to bite your lower lip, and you got to do the white boy head shake and get the drums going. Yeah, that's how you get it pumped up. It's not so much the song, but the song makes you act like a 3-year-old on sugar.
The most fun part about having kids is when they start getting older, and they, that used to be all the stuff that they wanted you to do with them. And I was dancing in the car yesterday, actually to a podcast opening theme song, because it's just really whimsical music. And I was just like, and my son was like, "You like that a lot, huh?" And he's like, "Dad," he's like sitting in the back seat, like he's too good for it. So
my son loves the intros to Monsters University, the little marching band like music, and he dances like this. Dance, Daddy, dance. Okay, I'll do the white boy too.
Yeah, exactly. He's got the white boy down. Very good. Well, tell us, what is your favorite business book?
These two paired together, and I wish I had these when I first started, but I just recently ran across them. It's the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, I believe, and it pairs really well with Built to Sell.
Okay, very cool.
Right, and I often listen to these back to back, because when I started my shop, I mean, like most entrepreneurs, I am everything. I am the floor sweeper, which I'm not great at. I am the tool cleaner upper, which I am not great at. I am, doing everything, fixing everything. I have help. I'm not saying that I didn't have help, but when you're in charge, you do everything. And I didn't build systems. I didn't, set policies in place. I didn't do any of that because I'm not that type of person. A lot of entrepreneurs aren't that organized person. So these two books together helped me see that in order to be successful, you have to build systems that take you out of the equation. And that is something that I didn't do at the start.
Yep. If you have not read those books, I'm not actually read Build to Sell yet, but the E-Myth was an early on. And entrepreneurs, if you have not yet, get that book.
Yep. And get the audio books because you're too busy to sit and read a book. Get the audio book.
So they help me focus when I'm in front of the computer because I think a lot of entrepreneurs are ADD. And if I literally have nothing except whatever I'm working on an email or something, I will get up and walk out of my office.
Right. I've got a desktop, a laptop, my phone going, and usually TV going all at the same time.
Yep, I find that audiobook will help me stay focused a little bit better because it distracts me just enough to not to take that ADD edge off. So, well, Ryan, I want you to share with us one piece of advice that you as yourself today would give that version of yourself that was just getting started. Then I want you to let our audience know where they can find you, and then we'll say goodbye.
All right. When I first started, when I quit my job as an electronics tech to start this, I thought I had to have everything going to start my shop up, and having a repair shop is a very capital intense business. So I started buying and selling stuff on Craigslist and trading stuff. And I built, everything in my shop without taking on debt, which was hard to do. But I didn't want to have $60,000 to $70,000 in stuff sitting around in case it didn't happen to work. But I would go back and tell myself that you don't have to start a business that is so capital intensive. VWshirts.com, the website that I started, I have a running website that prints and ships t-shirts for under $100. And that's including the domain, including everything else. And businesses like that are so much easier to start, even if you're working a full-time job, than something that is capital intensive like having a shop. So look around at business ideas that aren't capital, whether it be parts, tools, specialty items, inventory intensive, because there are more opportunities even now than when I started 3 years ago.
Yeah, there's a lot of outsourcing and drop shipping that you can do for that kind of stuff. So great piece of advice. Very cool. Ryan, tell our audience where they should connect with you.
You can email me at ryanturner@vwdiesel.net, all one word together, Ryan Turner, or you can hit me up on vwdiesel.net. You can check out vwshirts.com, or you can find me on Facebook. I'm there too.
Very cool. Well, Ryan is going to send us all the links to all those places, audience. So hit up IamAdvancing.com. Ryan in the search bar and his show notes page will have links to all the information that we talked about today. Ryan, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today and helping us advance.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Advancing Entrepreneur. If you enjoyed it, leave us a rating and review. Not only will it make our day, you'll also be helping others find this show and advance their own careers. Once you're done, be sure to head on over to IamAdvancing.com and join our community to learn what it takes to be an advancing entrepreneur and surround yourself for success. Thanks again, and get ready to advance.